Yo, what's going on everybody? It's your boy Naruto Explain here, bringing you guys another Boruto Naruto Next Generation discussion on the fallout from Boruto Chapter 80. And today, I wanted to shift gears and talk to you guys about something similar to what we did with Boruto, where we discussed a jutsu or power that Boruto needed to focus on acquiring through the time skip this upcoming. And it's only right that we continue to look at members of Team 7. And since we've already covered Boruto, it's time for us to shift the conversation over towards Sarada Uchiha. While everyone is rightfully looking at Sarada's shiny new mangekyou sharingan and wondering just what kind of powers it might have, I think the more appropriate thing for us to do is to shift the focus not towards a mangekyou sharingan power per se, and instead look at what a major aspect of her training should be, given how high the stakes are right now going into the time skip, because she is one of the few people who actually know the truth. Kawaki is the villain of the story and took Boruto's life and framed Boruto for the murder of Naruto and Hinata, but Sarada knows that she cannot stand up against Kawaki on her own, and while the mangekyou sharingan is useful, it's only as beneficial as how strong her base is. Due to the mangekyou sharingan getting a chakra amp that's stacked on top of her base, her goal to become stronger to fight Otsutsuki is still there, and we have foreshadowing for what the focus of her training will be, and it's not just her to stack her base up to be stronger where the mangekyou amp would actually matter. Sarada has not only fought alongside Kawaki, but she's also been on the other side of Kawaki when they both been on the battlefield. She knows that Kawaki has to be someone who she trains with the intention of beating him, or at the very least be useful in a battle against him. Sarada has shown she isn't above all the aspects of shinobi training, including the meditation required not just for chakra control, but also to raise the spiritual energy side of a person's chakra. It's going to be through that meditation that Sarada is going to be focusing on Kawaki, and likely remember a key bit of information that she was told by Kawaki all the way back during the battle with Boruto. Kawaki explained to Sarada how the karma seal works, stating that it can absorb any chakra-based jutsu, but its main weakness is that it cannot absorb any jutsu that is infused with naturally existing properties. And the example Kawaki used was water release made purely out of chakra, and then said that karma can absorb it, but it cannot absorb any water release jutsu that is made out of pre-existing water. This becomes even more likely that Sarada locks in on this aspect of Kawaki's weakness when she begins to start talking to Sumire, someone who also happens to know the truth about Boruto's situation. And Sumire was in the viewing room behind the glass looking into the interrogation room when Amato played the Jigen versus Kashin Koji fight. Sumire saw how Kashin Koji was able to mix sealing jutsu and summoning jutsu to summon naturally existing fire to take advantage of the karma seal's weakness, which ultimately allowed Kashin Koji to kill Jigen. The next logical step for Sarada during her training is to begin following in her father's footsteps, to begin working on her own jutsu that uses naturally existing elements to use as a weapon against Kawaki. Sasuke went into the time skip with the intention to kill Itachi and created Kirin as a result, a jutsu that uses Amaterasu to heat up the atmosphere to cause a lightning storm, which then results in naturally created lightning that Sasuke can use his chakra as a way to guide the attack towards his actual target. Sarada going into the time skip working to develop her own jutsu, that makes the most sense. However, here's the thing. I don't expect Sarada to try making a carbon copy of the jutsu that her father Sasuke created. Sasuke used lightning release, and Sarada does have lightning release, so I can see why people think this is where we're going to go, but I honestly think it wouldn't fit into the folklore and symbolism, and allow me to explain why. The reason Naruto series creator Masashi Kishimoto named Sasuke's jutsu Kirin is that it was a play on the Chinese mythological dragon that was meant to punish the wicked. Sasuke meant to punish Itachi, who he believed to be wicked, which was also foreshadowing once Itachi survived the attack that was meant for passing judgment on Itachi, to set up the reveal that Itachi wasn't wicked like how Sasuke thought, just as the attack failed to do any damage in the anime filler where Sasuke used Kirin against Naruto in the final battle, which never happened in the manga, whereas when he did use against Urashiki in the time slip arc, someone who was indeed wicked, it caused Urashiki great pain, whereas Itachi and Naruto felt a lot less noticeable pain and discomfort. As I discussed in the video on why I believe Kawaki has one final power that belongs to Ishiki that we haven't seen yet, I think the answer to Sarada's jutsu lies in the folklore as well, but this time it's not so much the folklore that I pointed out in Sarada's mangekyou sharingan power video, where we looked at the Ameno Uzume and the Kushina Hime stories and connected created and the stories that were connected to those stories, I think the answer lies in the folklore that inspired Ishiki, i.e. the Ishin Boshi stories and the variations of the One-Inch Man story that we have in Asian folklore. In one variation of the small boy / One-Inch Man story, there is a water god, and in another variation there of the One-Inch Man story, there is an earth god, where in that story, the One-Inch Man is someone who is cruel and uses his power and deception on those who are weak and beneath him, which one could argue that's exactly how Kawaki's being set up right now. I think whatever nature-based jutsu that Sarada creates is going to either be water release or it's going to be earth release, which would tie back into the folklore and be something that uses a naturally existing water or earth in order to provide a hard-hitting tack on Kawaki in a support role in that battle. Would that mean that Sarada would be required to learn another change in chakra nature? Yes, but we are going into a time skip. So the idea of Sarada doing change in chakra nature drills and mastering another chakra nature, that isn't the craziest thing. We were told change in chakra nature requires years of training, but we've seen some characters gain a change in chakra nature at a faster rate than normal, just as Boruto picked up an aptitude for lightning release because it was his mother's main affinity according to the 4th Naruto data book, and Naruto had an affinity for wind release because it was both of his parents who had an affinity for wind release change in chakra nature. When we look at Sarada's mother, Sakura has both earth release and water release according to the data book. Could Sarada have picked up an aptitude for being able to learn either chakra nature easily? It's possible. She already has wind release, fire release, and lightning release. You can argue she took more after her father Sasuke than her mother Sakura, but the fact that these two chakra natures are the only ones she hasn't acquired, and there just happens to be, depending on the folklore that you use, a deity of water or earth that links to the One-Inch Man stories, is something that we should consider here. It would make sense if it was something to do with water, because in the examples Kawaki gave to Sarada, it used water as an example, but we saw in Naruto's manga with Gar and his gourd and the ability to manipulate sand that Gar was a problem anywhere they were fighting on solid ground. So if it went the route of a special jutsu that was created using naturally existing earth, there are possibilities there for Sarada, especially when you consider what I spoke about in the video going over the mythology that could inspire Sarada's mangekyou sharingan powers. One of the deities who's connected to Amino Uzume, who helped chapter Materasu when she left the cave, was associated with weather manipulation and draining and distributing life forces. If we go with either of these for a mangekyou sharingan power, it becomes something that can be used to attack Kawaki or any other Otsutsuki in a major way. The manipulating of weather in particular to create storms to produce naturally existing lightning, or heat up the ground to cause natural fires that can be manipulated by her dojutsu, or create rain showers that can be used for water release that she ends up combining with whatever water release jutsu that she ends up creating. It's a hard counter to the power of the karma, and it's a great support jutsu that could be used if Kawaki's fighting where he's got more than one person to deal with, because he hasn't shown the ability that Ishiki has to shrink jutsu even when he's not directly looking at it, but is aware that it's in his vicinity. But if he's fighting someone and already has to start shrinking their jutsu, that's a great opening for someone like Sarada to use a support-based jutsu like this that can't be absorbed by the karma seal. I kind of feel like we do have something here, either through a potential mangekyou sharingan based power based off of the deities associated with Amino Uzume, or through the creation of a nature-based chakra attack that is a hard counter to karma. Boruto's story is not just a story of breaking free of familial bonds and expectations to walk your own path, but also one of the core elements and conflicts of the story is, where does science fit into this world of shinobi? It's science versus shinobi / ninjutsu, ninjutsu versus shinjutsu. Boruto and Sarada represent those who inherit the shinobi way of doing things and gaining power through training and building up chakra naturally, whereas Kawaki is the opposite. He's a cyborg who over relies on his ninja tech and the power of the Otsutsuki for the quickest path to power. So it makes sense that both Sarada and Boruto developed jutsu that oppose Kawaki because of where they stand on the spectrum in the key conflict of Boruto thematically. That being said, I'm curious to know you guys' thoughts on this. What kind of jutsu do you think that Sarada would actually create? Would it be a cop-out if she ended up making something similar to Kirin? While you think that over, click here to watch my every breathing style and Demon Slayer video.